I'm just going to say, like, these white friends from these countries, you know, the middle class tax cattle that make up maybe like 20% of the population of what were really apartheid states. I mean, Bolivia was in a true, like a modern day white apartheid state, right? And then once indigenous people got the vote, properly speaking, the natural result was that, right, an indigenous guy is going to win the office every single time, right? And so they're like, you know, I got this white friend from Bolivia who owns like a lithium mine, whose property got expropriated, and he says that nobody he knows voted for Evo Morales. Therefore, Evo Morales didn't really win. He must have cheated. So please give us weapons.
Yeah,
I can't endorse that. One, I can't co-sign that kind of stupidity. If you're gonna say, listen, we got some kind of crazy left-wing communist guy, you know, we don't want to die in a concentration camp, we don't want to this or that, so give us weapons, we're gonna, you know, kill him or exile him to Mexico or whatever, you know, and have a proper export economy. Okay, fine. I can't say the words, that's fine with me, but I'm not gonna, whatever. But if you're gonna tell me,
I'm not gonna whatever.
You know, yeah. But if you're gonna sit here and tell me he cheated, I won really. You know, I got, like, in Honduras, you had this absurd case where the left-wing candidate was winning, and then you had like 7 blackouts, and then suddenly, like, when the rural votes came in, suddenly, you know, the American-backed candidate was winning. It's like, you mean to tell me that all these peasant farmers in the backwoods of Honduras are voting for the neoliberal right-wing candidate? Come on. I can't. Like,
come on.
Right? It's like, and it's all these people too. It's all these people who say that Donald Trump's victory was, you know, the revenge of flyover country, showing that they're not going to go silently into that good night, and how the deep state and all these coastal urban elites are trying to fabricate Russiagate as part of a deep state coup or whatever. And then all of a sudden they turn around and they say, like, you know, God, we need to really launch a coup because Russia stole the election for Evo Morales, right? Come on, leave me alone.
Because they like him. I don't know what's not to get.
Yeah, and it's, like, just,
I love how one of the themes of this show is Marcel discovering that maybe people involved in the political process are hypocrites sometimes, and he's like, "Oh my God, I'm shocked."
Yes, it is. As
someone who's so ideological, it is hard for him to wrap his mind around that these people could be hypocrites, because when he encounters a contradiction in his own thinking, he, like, goes into a quiet dissociative state for like 40 minutes until he can try to work out the puzzle.
Yeah.
Other people, they encounter a contradiction and they just go next, and they just swipe it out of their head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Better not think about that again.
Man, that was uncomfortable. And man, when I thought about these two things at the same time, I had this strange cognitive dissonance. So I was like, oh wow, so don't think of those two things.
I thought about these two things at the same time. It made me feel very confused and angry. Better not think about those things again.
Yeah. It's like, you know, when you go to the doctor, it's like, my shoulder hurts when I don't.
Yeah. So don't do that.
Another, speaking of leaders who I'm not defending, I'm just pointing something out. I'm just asking questions. So there is a man in Iran named Hassan Abbasi, and he is an officer in the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. And in particular, the head of its think tank, the Center for Borderless Security Doctrinal Analysis, which is, I think, one of the most ominous. I mean, the IRGC is a mix of the federal marshals and the CIA for Iran, which has its own think tank called the Center for Borderless Security Doctrinal Analysis. Okay? It's the kind of country Iran is. The head of this think tank and a member of the Iranian intelligence accused the president of Iran, Hassan Rouhani, of taking part in secret negotiations with Israel, as well as following the neo-Keynesian economic school of thought.
Huh.
Right. Now, I'm not saying that I want to live in Iran, but I am saying that the idea that the CIA could accuse somebody of secretly being a Keynesian and expect that to be a scandal, I do want to live in that kind of country. I'm not going to talk about that other thing, because why? But the idea of, like, I assure you that as long as I am alive, you will not escape punishment, he says. Like, a secret Keynesian. And this is just a part, like, another thing that is funny for me and I'm sure some in our audience are like aware of like Memory TV. And so Memory TV is an organization founded by former Mossad agents. Again, nothing suspicious about that. I'm just saying, right? Founded by former Mossad agents to, quote, show us the Arab world in its own words. Also, Iranians aren't Arab. Okay, I know nobody in the audience is going to correct me. I'm just going to like in fear of my own inner critic. But the point is, Memory TV, actually, it's just Arabs also.
I forgot to tell the audience who what a Keynesian is, by the way. It's a follower of it is a famous 20th century economist and prolific pedophile named John Maynard Keynes. Just look him up, I guess, if you don't know.
Keynes was a pedophile. That was another brief libertarian meme.
Yeah.
So Memory TV exists to, quote, show us the Middle East and the Arab world in their own words. And what they do is they essentially go to the Arab equivalent of Maury and show them saying things like, I will chop off your tongue if you talk about Saddam. As you know, Saddam killed many people that were close to me, even my own relatives, but the way he did it showed that he was brave. Or I have an entire folder of screenshots from Memory TV of them calling each other infidels or whatever. Just when you get a chance, go on YouTube and look up "It's Always Sunni in Arabia," just to get an idea. And the idea is that Americans will see this and be horrified at these backward savages who have all these outlandish beliefs. And how can you really trust them? And this is why you should support any non-Arab power in the region, not naming names, just someone to hold these weirdos back. But the problem is ignorance begets fear. But generally, the more you know about something, I'm not going to like some things are just bad, and you know more about them, you just hate it more. But you can't fear something that you know more about. And so what ends up happening is, you can't. There's certain things about Arabs and Muslims that you just start to not believe anymore because it's like if somebody were, it's in the same way that if somebody were to tell you, did you know that Donald Trump is like a prolific big game poacher? Like Donald Trump like hunts down elephants and tortures them in the African bush. You would say, well, I'm not saying Donald Trump is a good person, but that doesn't quite seem like the kind of bad thing that Donald Trump does. Like it doesn't match up, right? You have a picture of the kind of person he is, and the kind of evil you're describing is not the kind of evil that you actually see.
Yeah.
And Memory TV basically does that with Arabs, where not to say that Arabs as a people are evil, of course, but just the idea is like, when people say, oh, all these Arabs are all like these backwards, they live in caves and they're genocidal monsters who don't know how to do this and that. No, I've seen them. Arabs are like Alabamans, basically, or at least your average Republican.
Marcel continues to make friends everywhere he goes.
Right? Like take your average Beltway Republican and consider their general picture of their voting base in the Deep South, and you kind of have a proper picture of what the pathologies of the Arab world, right? In terms of like its right-wing negativity. This is very Orientalist. I'm sure Edward Said is going to come for me. And it's like, this is Orientalism, right? You're stereotyping in a very strange way that no one ever does. The place becomes, in a way, something less and more magical. And I just wanted to talk about this for a little bit. And the idea that Iran is the kind of place where intelligence officers accuse the president of secretly being a Keynesian, right? It's a very specific cultural mix. A lot of things need to happen in a society for that to even make sense as a sentence. And that's just the wonders of learning more about the Middle East. And so I hope that one day, dear listeners, you too can develop my strange fascination with the Middle East so you can also be keyed into this kind of hilarity. I'm sorry, Dan, do you have anything to say about that? I mean...
Oh, I just wish I could be keyed into this hilarity.
Right? I mean, just learn more about the Middle East and you'll start to see...
I love a Marcel type of inside joke is like, just read these 25 books and then you'll get a good chuckle out of this next time you see it.
Yeah. Yes. Like you hear someone say, like, only in the Arab world can you hear someone say, by Allah, the shoe of any Republican is more honorable than Hillary Clinton. Right? I mean, this is the kind of place, these are the kinds of people that we as Americans are meant to be afraid of. Right.
Yeah.
We're meant to be told that these people are an existential threat to our way of life. I can't be afraid of that guy. I mean, that guy's not coming over to take my freedom. That guy's coming over to say wild shit at Thanksgiving dinner. They're just not scary.
So you're saying is the main problem with American Islamophobia is that it leads us to miss out on great banter.
Yes, we're missing out on great banter. These people are just these people, right? Are like us. They're like
Marcel loves the Arabs, and the Arabs love Marcel.
Yes,
much like Donald Trump and the blacks.
Most Republicans, I mean, this is sort of a classic, like, liberal meme. It's like, there's no difference between Al Qaeda and American rednecks because they both have guns and hold holy books. But in a way, it is kind of true that, your average Joe Schmo, Joe Sixpack, whatever word we're using, is would be right at home if they just converted to Islam in a lot of Arab countries.
Yeah, when a liberal in 2005 would say that Republicans are basically like the Taliban, they meant it as like they're just as bad as the Taliban. You mean it as the Taliban is just as good as a Republican.
Or the voter base. In these sham democracies, the voter base of Syria has many similarities to the voter base in Georgia. They'd vote for the same things, is what I'm saying. Speaking of hilarious things, we can just close this out. I saw the Joker movie. Have you seen the Joker movie, Dan? The Joker movie was a masterpiece.
No, it was. I know it was. I know for a fact it was not.
I
haven't seen it, but I know it was not good.
I can't object too much because we talked about multiple things just in this very episode that we hadn't seen or even really paid attention to.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the Joker movie.
You would.
And I have correct opinions and you don't.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And what was really fascinating, though, was, of course, the media was like, man, this movie, incel, beta uprising, sort of mass shooter movie that's going to cause violence.
And then Marcel was like, I got to get a ticket to this.
Yes, that was exactly my thought process. If you said this is, the incel, red pill, we live in a society, gamers rise up movie, I'm like, I gotta see this. Now, it was indeed the we live in a society movie, and there was a little bit of beta uprising in it as well. It was not an incel movie, right? Everybody was like, oh, there's gonna be violence. People were like harassing the director, and the director said the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. He's like, people are saying that the Joker's going to cause violence. He's going to cause violence, but John Wick kills people all the time, and nobody complains about that. Like, how is a director of the incel movie going to complain that Chad is held to a different standard? You just made a movie about this.
Because I think you're giving Todd Phillips too much credit. This is the guy that made The Hangover.
Oh, what?
He's not Martin Scorsese.
Even though the movie was very much like
this is no Martin Scorsese, okay? This guy's not. He's not at that level.
But all that ended up happening was just people started dancing on a set of stairs, right? On this other hand, apparently during a showing of Frozen 2, there was a fight, multiple people with machetes. At least 3 people showed up to Frozen 2 with machetes and got into a fight with each other. So who really causes violence?
Something to think about, huh?
It really makes you think. I mean, we really do live in a society. According to Islamic law, Mickey Mouse should be killed in all cases.
You know what? I'm not even going to comment on the Joker movie, except that my understanding of it is it's just basically Todd Phillips watched Taxi Driver and he watched The King of Comedy, and then he decided that he was going to make a shitty remake of those. So if you want to see art in cinema, watch Martin Scorsese movies. Otherwise, don't watch movies. That's what we learned. So next episode, I will give my review of The Irishman, which I'm sure will be great. The last movie I saw was The Lighthouse, which is great if you love movies that are weird. I do not like movies that are weird, so I hated it. It made me feel stupid. I don't want to watch The Joker. I just hate Joaquin Phoenix. I hate Todd Phillips. I hate movies that are depressing or have like that whole milieu of like, oh, look at this sad guy. I don't want to see a sad guy. Life's sad enough,
Well, don't worry. He wasn't sad in the end.
Spoiler alert. I did see when he shoots Robert De Niro, and that looked so fucking stupid, that scene. Ugh.
No, it was truly a masterpiece. I mean, he said society. He said the word society, and that's funny.
He yelled the word society and then blew someone's head off.
Yes.
Which I feel like when I saw that, I saw the whole movie.
Yes.
It was just
the movie Joker.
Bam.
The movie Joker really spoke to me, and there's really one line which,
oh god,
funny as it was, there's one line that really
this is so cringe.
I know, but we're doing this.
The movie Joker really spoke
just
to
one
me.
part of it. Just one part of it in the end, in that scene where he shoots De Niro, is earlier on, the Joker, like you've heard of Bernie Goetz, right?
Yeah. Heard of him?
Yeah. A lot of people in our audience might not have heard of Bernie Goetz, like actually. So for those who don't know, basically Bernie Goetz was this guy on the New York subway in like the 90s. New York subway used to be